This is Fast Moving Targets at Eurosonic and Noorderslag. 2 days we talk to people about music, technology, etc. And we ask always one simple question: who are you and what are you doing?
My name is Robbert Baruch, and I am the Manager of Public Affairs, or lobbyist, for Buma Stemra.
Lobbyist, that is a name that triggers me.
It triggers everyone. Basically what I do is three things. I keep up a network with politicians and other stakeholders in a political arena. Second is I exchange information about what we do and how they view us, how they view the music industry, how they view the music sector. And thirdly, I try to convince them that they should make decisions that are in our interest and not take decisions that are not in our interest.
Yeah, and our interest is Buma Stemra. So who are you working for?
I'm working for three realms. The first one is copyright, of course. Anything that has to do with copyright infringement, we try to tackle. We try to defend copyright in the political sphere. Second is the marketing of music. Transparency regulations, that they fit the industry, and thirdly is culture in a broader sense. And on these three items I speak to politicians, try to convince them, both in The Hague for the Dutch government and then in Brussels and Strasbourg for the European Parliament and Commission.
Okay, 2013 just started. How do you, so in your company, when have you done a good job? So what are your goals this year?
My goals this year is firstly to defend the interest of smaller and medium-sized societies and the repertoire in the upcoming directive for collective management rights. That is really going to be the biggest discussion in Europe over the next year. Also, there is a review of the copyright directive. And as there are so many attacks on copyright coming from all directions, we really have to take a position there. Those are both in in Europe.
Yeah.
Then in the Netherlands, the fight for authors' rights and for culture also is ongoing.
Yeah. There's in a way, Buma Stemra has not a lot of faces, but a lot of people have different views on the Buma Stemra. Because very often you're the bad guy, seen as the bad guy.
We're seen as the bad guy. Yes. Sometimes we're seen as the bad guy. And what I do is first, and most of that image comes from disinformation. And what I try to do, and that is why networking and exchanging information is so important, is I try to show our side. Every time that we're in the newspaper, I try to give an update on what we think about it. When people are ill-informed about collecting societies, about copyright, I try to convey my message as soon as possible, timely and adequate, and of course short and in simple wordings. As, you know, politicians need that.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing.
It's difficult, but most of it is lack of information and the actual lobbying, the actual trying to convince people is only about 10 or 15% of my work. Disinformation is a big problem.
Yeah. You say, talking to politicians and all the people in your network that are important to get the message across. What is the fun about that?
The fun about it?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm 45 years old. I think 42 years of that I've been involved in music and politics. I can't think of a better job than I do now, really.
Yeah, so you're a musician yourself as well?
I'm a musician. I play the accordion. I played in bands. I composed a few songs. I even had the pleasure of looking at the Buma Stemra system, how often they were played on the radio. 0 times, but still it was fun. I love music, ranging from punk rock, Dead Kennedy's Kill Radio, to opera, Verdi.
Yeah. So for you, this is the best job you can.
For me, this is the best job I can.
If we talk about technology, music, etc., according to you, what is the most important or a important trend that's going on right now?
A very important trend is that there is this sense that everything should be available on every platform at any moment.
Yeah.
And which is a great idea, which is a lovely idea, but still the author's rights need to be defended. And that is an intellectual and a philosophical and an economical and a political fight. And it's fascinating how it works, but also very complicated to untangle all these different angles to this question, because sometimes they become emotional as well with the believers, and emotions and politics don't go well together very often.
No, and okay, this is a complex thing, but why is it complex? Can't you make just a system where you say, well, this is when you come to us and you need maybe permission to this or that, or you may need permission to go to an artist, and there is a central system, and the artist says, well, it's okay to use my tracks on service X or Y, or what makes it difficult?
Making decisions like that and make them stick goes much better in a dictatorial regime that we unfortunately didn't choose for. We live in a democracy, so you have all these different voices that need to be counted and that need to be brought into discussion with each other, and come up with something that suits as much people as possible. And what I'm doing there is defending the rights of our members and other stakeholders.
Yeah. What you see is, in a sense, it seems that the music industry has done a lot of good things. I think in the last couple of years, got a lot of possibilities for startups, technology companies, etc. If you would tell, because it seems like the book industry and the movie industry still are coming, so are going through things like the music industry has already done. What would you advise them?
What I advise them is, first of all, get online. That is the main thing, and be there and be part of this digital revolution that has been taking place since probably the 90s. And the second is engage with the industry that's making their money off data, to explain them over and over again. If you let the data flow without any barriers, and if you let the business model flow with any barriers, or say that you want it flow without barriers, in the end it will be detrimental to cultural diversity, because only the strong ones will survive. If you want to keep cultural diversity into place, you need to defend it. If you leave it just to the market and only to the market, cultural diversity will disappear. And that is a message that everyone needs to voice.
Yeah. One last question. You invited politicians to
Yes.
To this event. What do you hope for during an event like this? When is it a success to you? How should they go home?
They should go home with an enriched experience and saw the diversity of and the broadness of the music industry. And also, if they have a feeling that they have conveyed their message to people that are around here, because it's diversity all over. One of the interesting experiences I had was in Amsterdam Dance Event, where we had a politician saying, "But all these musicians, they probably don't like you. How come you organize this?" And I had to explain, they love us. At least they eat from us. This is the way they earn their money. And then suddenly you see people understand how the business model works and why it's important that you have collecting societies, and why it's important that the members of the collecting societies and the representatives, such as myself, stand up for their rights.
When I become 65, I get, I think, €7.50 every month, thanks to my Buma Stemra.
There we go.
And so the times I've been playing.
Yeah. So by the time you're 65, that will buy you about half a beer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So then I should write another hit.
Write another hit.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching, and we'll be back later.